So we're continuing to look at this picture. I still have this mock-up handle that I'm using on here, and I am starting to think about the handle or this side of this form. Remember, right, these forms, they're works in the round, so you have to look at them from all sides and think about how they all work together. So I'm just using this handle basically as a mock-up right now. Now, I talked about darting the rim of a pitcher to make this transition from the spout and back to the handle and to give this edge some visual interest, which I kind of like. But again, I'm just trying to show you some options here. Now, the other thing you can look at darting as well is you can look at darting more into this form. I like this space, this line inside of the handle if it were smooth, right? This handle, again, is just a mock-up. But this shoulder here and then this don't really work together so well. So let me show you another dart that you can take kind of mid-pot. It can kind of make that negative space a little bit more cohesive. So I've cut that kind of eye shape, very similar to the shape that I cut out of the rim. I've cut this out. And what that will do is that'll bring this kind of more together and create a nicer curve here. Oh, I gotta get all the shape out, right? So I'm removing a shape, right? I've used line, right? I'm investigating line to create a shape that I've removed from this form. And how does that adjust or change that form, right? And so you can see that it creates a more cohesive negative space as opposed to negative space from before. Again, to mend this dart, right, to put it back together, I'm gonna kind of open it up a little bit, right? We always need to slip and score these seams. It's important. Get some slip on those surfaces, right? Come in here and get a good score along both sides. And then again, I really can't emphasize enough, I really prefer working with this kind of offset joint where you leave one a little bit stuck out, a little proud on the outside, right? See how there's a kunk here, right? You're seeing part of that edge. And then you do the opposite on the inside. And then you're actually taking the material from this one and pushing it over. And you're doing the opposite on the inside, right? You're pushing the material of one over the other. What it does is it kind of hides the seam. It makes the seam really strong and it hides the seam. If you get too much slip there, it's a little slippery and you can't really move the clay. The idea is to move the clay over the seam. It's very much like coil building, actually. The seaming back together of where you've darted, very similar to coil building. You can make it smooth, you can pull out a rib. But so in that, I don't want to though, this coil pot has got a nice kind of hammered texture to it. In that, you can see that this curve or the form on this side has changed, right? And so that negative space between the form and the handle is more pleasing to the eye. It has more of a complete shape, right? That negative space makes up a complete shape. Actually, your eye goes around it a lot nicer. That's a function of time as well, how your eye travels on line, all right?